Hi there, welcome to HUD's History. Today we're going to talk about the spark that started World War One, and it all is with this dude right here, Archduke Franz Ferdinand of Austria-Hungary. So we're going to talk about him, his wife, why they got shot, and what led to it. So buckle up, here we go. What we're seeing here today is how World War One actually started. So we're looking at what were the events that caused this global conflict to start. It's known as the spark of World War One, or basically how a gunshot basically started a global conflict. So as we go through, we're going to look at who started it, why, and what were the repercussions. Obviously, we know that there's going to be a huge war. So, who are the players in this game? As you can see from left to right, there are three main players. One is Franz Joseph. He is the king slash emperor of the Austria-Hungarian Empire. Why is he the king and the emperor? Because Austria-Hungarian Empire is a dual monarchy, meaning that they are two basically empires joined as one through one person ruling. He is the monarch, but he is considered the king as his title in one and emperor in the title of the other. That's just how it is. The next is Franz Ferdinand. He is the Archduke of Austria-Hungary. He is the heir to the Habsburg throne. It's the Habsburg family. And then to the right, you can see that is Gabriel Princip. He is a Serbian nationalist. He's also the leader of what's known as the Black Hand Gang. So these are the people that are the players in what leads to the cause and the events leading to World War One. Where is this taking place? It's the Balkan states. The Balkan states are this region by Greece off the Mediterranean Sea. They involve a couple different areas. You have Austro-Hungarian Empire in pink. You have Serbia, which is in green, and the Ottoman Empire, you can see, is the bluish to the right. Now, why does that matter? The place that's taking because the Ottoman Empire had been slowly declining over the 19th century. We know that during the Tanzimat reforms that they had tried to keep up their strength, but they're going to slowly lose land in different battles, like the Crimean War. So as they're slowly losing land, others are trying to take that land. Serbia, they kind of want to absorb all the different Slavic populations that are on the Balkan Peninsula. They figure that if there is a huge empire that is a Slavic empire, that all the people will benefit because they have a similar background. Now, Russia actually supports this Serbian nationalism because they are kind of ethnically and religiously similar. However, Austria-Hungary, they are not. They kind of oppose Serbian nationalism. Austria-Hungary is made up of a diverse group of people, from Slavic people to people who are German-speaking to Polish and whatnot. So you have a lot of different groups within Austria-Hungary, and the royal family fears that if there is a large Slavic state made up by Serbia and others, that could cause some problems within their own empire, that the people who are Slavic speaking within Austria-Hungary might decide that they want to join Serbia, and that would cause a rebellion, and that wouldn't be good for the monarchy, right? Because when you have power, you don't want to lose your power at all. So just to kind of take you back a little bit to 1908, this is when the Austrian-Hungarian Empire actually overtakes a part of the old Ottoman Empire. They take what's known as Bosnia and Herzegovina. That is the bottom purple part of the map of Austria-Hungary. You can see Croatia is right above Bosnia and Herzegovina. Sarajevo is the capital city of that region. But because Austria-Hungary had taken this action in 1908, it does not sit well with others, particularly the Serbs. Why? Because the Serbians wanted to rule that area. They wanted Bosnia and Herzegovina as part of this Slavic empire. And so you're going to see these elevated tensions between the Austro-Hungarian Empire and Serbia. As you can see in the political cartoon here, Ottoman Empire is slowly losing their territory, and others are taking it up. Franz Joseph is taking Bosnia and Herzegovina, and you can see Bulgaria is taking part of its land back from the Ottoman Empire as well. So, what ends up happening that you're going to get to this point where a bullet causes World War One? Throughout the next 6 years, from 1908 leading up to 1914, you're going to see a series of resistance by the Slavic peoples within Austria-Hungary, particularly in the Bosnia-Herzegovina region. The emperor, Franz Joseph, he sees what's going on and he realizes that he can't have a bunch of resistance going on in his empire and he needs to put it down. So what does he do? He decides that he needs to show a force of strength and show some authority in that region. He decides that he needs to send his nephew, who is the Archduke, down to basically calm the region and say, hey, we're here, we're supporting, we are going to make sure that we are one empire. We are not going to break apart due to some rebels trying to cause resistance. Now, Archduke Franz Ferdinand, he had ideas of what to do if he became the new emperor slash king of the Austro-Hungarian Empire. This was different than what his uncle had ruled over for the last couple decades. But you'll never get to see what happens there because of the unfortunate events that occur when he goes into Sarajevo. So what ends up happening is Franz Ferdinand decides he's going to go down to Sarajevo, and there is a group that finds out and they're going to take some action. Who is this group? This is the Black Hand Gang. They are a group that is in Serbia. They're a very nationalistic group. They want a very big Serbian empire. And they realize that they could stir up some rebellion within the Austro-Hungarian region of Bosnia-Herzegovina. They decided that they were going to go there so that they could start some sort of revolution and that the people there would join up with them as a cause. Revolution would break out. They would basically fire the monarchy and they would join with Serbia and become a bigger Serbian empire. It's all led by Gavrilo Princip. He takes a group of young males and they become this Black Hand Gang that's going to go over into Austria-Hungary and start a revolution. Now, how are they going to do that? They find out that there is going to be a visit by the Archduke Franz Ferdinand and his wife Sophie. Now, the newspaper report put it out there so that people understood that he was coming down to Sarajevo. The Archduke would normally travel alone. He wouldn't have Sophie come with him because Sophie normally stayed at home with the children. And Sophie wasn't exactly well liked by the people of the empire. She was just kind of looked at not very fondly. But she decides she's going to accompany her husband on this particular trip. As the newspaper reports put out there that he's going to be down there at this specific time, the Black Hand Gang decides that they're going to plot an assassination on him. They figured if they could kill him, that this would like cause turmoil within the monarchy, and during this political instability that the Slavic population would rise up and they would rebel against these rulers of Austria-Hungary. That's the plan. So the Black Hand Gang gets a bunch of weapons and they sneak across the border from Serbia into Austria-Hungary and they make their way towards Sarajevo, which is the place that Archduke Franz Ferdinand and his wife Sophie are going to be at. Now, unfortunately, when the Archduke and his wife leave, they travel there by car. They don't go by plane. It's not like today where everybody just flies there, right? They go there by vehicle, by automobile, and the day that they leave, the car actually breaks down, and the Archduke basically says, "I hope this isn't a foreshadowing of the trip I'm going to take." Blah 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 blah. Which is kind of sad because he kind of foreshadows his own life and what happens, right? So they get down there on June 27th, 1914, and they get settled in the hotel. And then the next day they get up and they get ready and they have a whole day full of events. They're supposed to take a motorcade down a specific route with people who are supposed to be there cheering them on, right? Like kind of like a parade. And they're supposed to go to town hall, give a speech, meet the mayor, do some official duties by the Archduke himself. But it doesn't go exactly as planned. Why? because you have the Black Hand Gang and they have their own idea of what to do. So the Black Hand Gang gets set up in position along the parade route. How do they know? Because the newspaper puts in to print the route that they're taking. So everybody knows where to go so they can wave hi to the Archduke and his wife. The Black Hand Gang sees that and they decide they're going to spread out along this route for the motorcade. That way they have multiple chances to get the Archduke in case one of them fails or bullet misses or whatever, then the others can take their shot. They break up into three separate groups and they are armed with pistols as well as hand grenades or bombs. And they set up all the way along. And then they ask one of the police officers to if they could point out which car has the Archduke in it, so they know exactly which one to target. So as the motorcade comes down the road along the route, you have the first assassins. This is Mehmed Basic, and you have Kabrulovich. They are there. They see the motorcade go by. They kind of just freeze, meaning they really didn't do anything. They just kind of froze there, and they failed to act. They had both pistols and grenades or bombs to attack, but they didn't. And it's just kind of like, oh no, the chances passed them by now. That's okay, right? Because you still have a couple different assassins to get by. So even if the first ones didn't get them, the next ones can. The next one is Kabrinovich. He is the third assassin, and as Franz Ferdinand's car approaches, he throws his grenade. The grenade actually bounces off the back of the convertible itself. The Archduke sees this grenade coming and kind of shields his wife from it. The grenade bounces on the back of the car and goes underneath the car behind it, exploding. This causes a hole to be created, and anywhere from 16 to 20 different people, including police officers and civilians, are injured. The car obviously is kind of in shrapnel, but the Archduke and his wife, they are not harmed. Now, the whole idea was that they were going to kill the Archduke and then they were going to kill themselves. The Black Hand Gang thought that this was basically a suicide mission, and they had cyanide pills, and their thought was kill them, take cyanide, die, become martyrs. The Slavic people would rise up and you'd have revolution. But that doesn't happen because Kabrinovich, realizing that he did not kill the Archduke, takes off running. He swallows his cyanide pill and he jumps into the river. He figured he would slowly die by poisoning, but just in case, jumping into a river and drowning, that would pretty much seal the deal. Unfortunately, the cyanide is actually really old, so all it does is it starts inducing this vomiting, so he just starts throwing up everywhere. And when he jumps into the river, it's literally only 5 inches deep because there had been a long drought due to the hot, dry summer. Kabrinovich is in this river, basically ankle deep, throwing up. The police get there. They start to drag him out of the river. As they're dragging him out, a crowd comes around. They realize he is one of the assassins or the guy who had thrown the grenade, and they start beating him as he's being taken into custody. So much for being a martyr and killing yourself so that a revolution can occur. Because of that and all the commotion that causes, as the Archduke's motorcade, as his car goes by the next group of assassins, including Gavrilo Princip, who's the leader, they're kind of frozen because of what they just saw occur. And the Archduke's car just flies by them, and they realize, oh my gosh, we didn't get him. The Duke's not injured. He's now off. Now, the Black Hand Gang, they have to figure out what to do because they've captured one of the members, and he's going to start blabbing to the police, everybody who's with them. So they have to kind of figure out what to do, where to go, because they may have to try and sneak back to Serbia so that they don't get caught. Because if they get caught now, they're most likely going to be executed for some sort of treason and, attempted assassination, right? As the Archduke continues on his way, he ends up at the town hall. He meets the mayor. He gives his speech. He meets with some of the soldiers of the military. And then he decides that he and his wife are going to go to the Sarajevo hospital so that they can go meet with the wounded from the grenade attack. The civilians, the police officers. It is a noble gesture to see how they were, make sure that they're doing okay. And then he and his wife decide that they're going to go back to the hotel. Well, when they do that, they end up going back along the same route, except they take a different turn and they end up going down a one-way street. And Gavril Princip is going to be in the right spot at the right time. Why? Because originally their return route was supposed to be on this red, and they're supposed to go down Franz Joseph Street. Well, they turn and they end up going down a one-way street, and they're going the wrong way, and they decide they need to turn around. Well, the driver goes to turn around. There is no reverse in the vehicle, so you kind of have to manually shift and try and turn your way around, and the gear gets stuck. Well, they happen to stop in front of a deli. Well, Gavril Princip, in his big plan to get away, is trying to figure out how to be inconspicuous and to leave. Well, he ends up in a deli. It happens to be the same deli that this car stops in front of. When he looks up, he realizes that the Archduke is right there in front of him, and this is his last chance to probably take him out. So he runs out there, and with his pistol, he fires twice. At first, it doesn't seem like anything's happened until Sophie actually starts to slump over, and the Archduke says, basically, Sophie, don't die. You know, you have to live. You have to live for our children. Well, she slumps over, and then next thing you know, he's got blood coming out of his mouth. He slumps over. He's dead. They both die. Well, not that it's already sad enough that you've now assassinated the royal family, right? You've killed the Archduke and his wife. You also killed them on their wedding anniversary. And you not only killed them, but Sophie was pregnant. So, in all, it was not a really good day to be a member of the Habsburg family. The picture on the right, you can see that is moments after the assassination had occurred, and the police have Gavril Princip in hand. And once they get him into custody, they find out who did it, and they start to round up other members. They capture other members of the Black Hand Gang. So what's the result of the shooting? Well, the Black Hand Gang is arrested, and they are put on trial, obviously, and they are under the laws of Austria-Hungary. Serbia has now got a crisis on their hands because Serbia has to basically answer for a group of individuals that went over and killed a royal family of Europe. So what happens to the Black Hand Gang themselves? There are 5 that are sentenced to death, but 2 of them actually get commuted to just life. There were some guys who were under the age of 20. If you were under the age of 20, under Austrian law, the maximum penalty was 20 years in prison. You couldn't be executed. So for those guys who are under 20, they get lucky, basically. Now, others, they get anywhere from being acquitted to 12 years. Gavril Princip, he is sentenced to hard labor, and he dies about 4 years later due to conditions of tuberculosis. This is his cell that he was in, number 1, and he lives there until he dies from this disease. This is a picture of the funeral of the Habsburgs, of the Archduke and his wife. It was not a very exciting funeral because literally nobody showed up because nobody really cared. Like I said, nobody in Austria-Hungary really cared about Sophie, and they really didn't care about the Archduke himself. So they died, and it's not a big mourning for the Austrian-Hungarian people, which is kind of sad. Now, what is the reaction to all this? July 23rd of 1914, Austria-Hungary says, Serbia, you have killed members of the royal family. You must pay for it. These are our demands. Now, what Austria-Hungary did is they basically put in all these demands that they knew that Serbia would never be able to meet to. One, because Serbia was trying to play that was just some group and we didn't really have anything to do with it, so you can't blame us, and we're going to try and be cool with you and do what we can so that you don't come in and invade us because you're much larger than we are. So Serbia says, okay, we can agree to some of these things, but there's some things we can't do. Unfortunately, Austria-Hungary had already decided that they were going to war, and they had started mobilizing their troops. Remember, militarism in the main factors is very important because you want to be able to move your troops quickly. And Austria-Hungary had decided that they were going to war no matter what. And they had decided to move their troops to the border of Serbia. July 28th, they declare war on Serbia. Now, Serbia says, hey, wait a minute. You're much bigger than us. And then they say, hey, Russia, you're an ally of ours. Can you help us out? So what does Russia do? Russia decides to mobilize their troops in their alliance agreement with Serbia. So they move their troops to the Austro-Hungarian border. This is where the alliance system comes into play. Because Austria-Hungary is now going to war, they've declared war on Serbia. Russia has now declared war on Austria-Hungary. Austria-Hungary has declared war now on Russia, which means that the rest of the alliance system has to come into effect. The European leaders see this and they're like, oh my gosh, we got to cool things down. We can't have a war. We can't have a war. But it's too late. Why? Because now Germany, who is allied with Austria-Hungary, they now have to come and help out Austria-Hungary. So they're like, okay, we're going to declare war on Russia. And Russia's like, oh, now we're going to declare war on Germany as well. Because France is an ally of Russia. France is like, well, we got to go to war with Russia or with Germany now. And that sets into motion this whole alliance system, and it sets the machinery of war into motion. And that is how bullets end up starting World War I. So what are you going to do? Don't go shoot an Archduke, because you never know what kind of chaos might ensue afterwards. And that is how World War I starts. So if you like this video, make sure you like it. Make sure you subscribe so you can see the other videos. Social tip for the day is actually more of an educational tip. Make sure that when you are choosing your next level of education, whether it be a university or a tech school or community college, make sure you check it out. Make sure it's the best fit for you. Make sure you find out what it has. If you are into sports, academics, fine arts, or whatnot, that it has stuff that you really like, a place that you really like, the environment, and the affordability, whether they offer scholarships or not, or if there's any financial aid. That will help determine where you want to go. And then you can have a list of places that are on your first tier, second tier, and third tier. So if you're looking at a education beyond high school, good luck. Otherwise, if you are a YouTuber or whatnot that's going to make millions of dollars, awesome there too. So until next time, talk to you guys later. This has been HUD's History. Peace out.